the serene scenes of our countryside to the bustling streets of our cities, the Philippines is blessed with a vibrant culture that highlights its diverse background. Behind this beautiful backdrop, however, lies the story of a decades-long struggle that has prevented the dream of a peaceful and developed Philippines from being achieved. Hoping to break this struggle, Executive Order No. 70 was signed in 2018, mandating the institutionalization of the whole-of-nation approach in attaining inclusive and sustainable peace, creating a national task force to end local communist armed conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, and directing the adoption of a national peace framework. Flashback to its humble beginnings, the NTF-ELCAC was created in response to the breakdown of national-level peace talks. These peace talks endeavored to put an end to the 54-year-long exploitations and atrocities of the country's communist terrorist group, the CPP-NPA-NDF. Understanding that despite the peaceful and wholehearted intention of the government to end its conflict with the CPP-NPA-NDF, the same could not be said for them. Faced with such blatant disrespect, lack of any willingness to approach the negotiation in the interest of peace, and continuous atrocities, the NTF-ELCAC was established to breathe new life towards our peace-building efforts. Jumping off from its signing in the 4th of December 2018, the National Task Force crafted its national plan and cluster implementing plans in April of 2019, all imbued with the whole-of-nation approach, whole-of-society approach, and good governance. The task force has since harmonized, encouraged, supported efforts, and provided a medium for collaborations in truly making meaningful, sustainable, lasting, and inclusive peace, security, and development for all Filipinos. Guided by its national and implementation plans, the task force, through the efforts of its member agencies and National Secretariat, established its 12 national clusters or lines of efforts to address the 10 programs of the CTG, with 2 tracks defining the strategic operations of the clusters. The task force spearheaded the efforts of its political, economic, and socio-cultural track, composed of the Local Government Empowerment Cluster, the International Engagement Cluster, the Basic Services Cluster, the Infrastructure and Resource Management Cluster, the Poverty Reduction, Livelihood and Employment Cluster, and the Sectoral Unification, Capacity Building, Empowerment, and Mobilization Cluster. These efforts complement the initiatives of the Peace Engagement, Law Enforcement and Military Track, which is a participation of the Strategic Communications Cluster, the Peace, Law Enforcement and Development Support Cluster, the Situational Awareness and Knowledge Management Cluster, the Legal Cooperation Cluster, the Local Peace Engagements Cluster, and the ECLIP and Amnesty Program. In its vow to inclusivity, and in reaching the farthest and most remote of areas, parallel operations of the National Task Force were mirrored down to the grassroots through the establishment of local task forces, from the Joint Regional Task Forces, or JRTFs, to provincial RTFs, as well as city, municipal, and barangay task forces. This existing institutional mechanism and the underlying development process partnered with top-down and bottom-up planning preserves and ensures not only the inclusivity across the country, but more importantly, the geared-up participation and heard voices of Filipinos.
Para sa aming mga kabarangay, nabawasan po yung kanilang kahirapan sa paglalabas ng kanilang mga proyekto. Unang-una po ay yung mga buunan nyog at saka po kopras, yung pong saging. Lahat pong kalakal nila ay napakalaking kaginawahan po na itulong sa aming mga kabarangay.
Dati kasi mahirap kalsada dito, yung maputik, mahirap maglabas ng mga produkto. Tapos yun ngayon, maganda na yung access ng kalsada papunta sa labas.
Their capacities to help within their communities and uplift their very own lives are built and prioritized. The unwavering and undisturbed operations of the task force, which forged its way out of the devastating atrocities and exploitations of the CTG, faced and survived through the COVID-19 pandemic, and continued to the current administration as guided by the crafted medium-term roadmap that shall and will ensure a path to unity, security, inclusive, and sustainable peace and development during the term of the President. Under said roadmap, efforts from 2023 until 2024 shall focus on defeating the CTG and breaking their support structure, while 2025 to 2028 will focus on building on its successes and ensuring sustainment of its achievements.
The efforts of our LGUs, our various government agencies and law enforcement authorities in the region for supporting the NTF-ELCAC by improving public safety and implementing programs that improve the living conditions for all.
As of date, under the leadership of the NTF-ELCAC Chairman, His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Co-Vice Chairpersons, Vice President and Secretary of Education Sara Duterte, and NSA Eduardo Año, with the orchestration of Executive Director Ernesto Torres Jr., the National Task Force asserts its 100% establishment of its regional task forces ELCAC across the country. In addition, 79% of its localities declared the CPP-NPA-NDF as persona non grata. Continuing on the success of the past, the NTF-ELCAC under the present administration continues to blaze its path towards peace, providing continuous support to programs such as the flagship Barangay Development Program and ECLIP, which continuously win hearts and minds and spur the surrender of the CTG affiliates respectively to breaking new ground in instituting programs such as DepEd's Last Mile Program and the new Agrarian Emancipation Act to support far-flung barangays and spurring development. These game-changing efforts have truly made the difference, utilizing the whole-of-nation participation and whole-of-government approach, which involves the national and regional government agencies, as well as the local government units and the private sector. Marked improvement of our country's Global Terrorism Index ranking has been observed, raising our ranking from 9th in 2019 to 18th in 2023. But more than that, it led the way towards the provision of houses, access to clean water, electricity, food, education, healthcare, and other basic services, opening roads to peace, unity, and development, while the NTF-ELCAC has made significant headway towards ending the local communist armed conflict. There is still much work to be done, focusing on ensuring the adherence to the whole of government, as well as maximizing private support under the whole-of-nation approach. These efforts will undoubtedly continue the game-changing successes of the NTF-ELCAC. These successes would not have been possible if not for the efforts of every member agency, government office, private institution, stakeholder, and beneficiary.
Muli-muli, kasanggan niyo kami at sama-sama tayo para sa isang matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay para sa bawat pamilyang Pilipino tungo sa isang bagong Pilipinas.
We are now at the point in our history when their armed struggle has evolved. We have now progressed together towards peace and development. We have incorporated capacity building and social protection into our reintegration programs to guarantee full decommissioning of former combatants. Through community development and livelihood programs, the barangay development and enhanced comprehensive local integration programs have been effective in addressing the root cause of conflict in the countryside. To complete this reintegration process, I will issue a proclamation granting amnesty to rebel returnees, and I ask Congress to support me in this endeavor.